Okay, so what's going on between the Republic of the Philippines and the country that is Georgia? Honorary Consul Buddy, what's going on?
Well, that's a big question. How long's your show?
Oh, well, we have many shows to go.
No, I'll tell you why. This is something I've been very active with, and I actually concentrated on, in building relations, building friendships between people-to-people exchanges, because that really is the basis for meaningful exchanges between countries.
Do we have an embassy there, or
no?
We have a consul there?
There is an honorary consul of the Philippines there,
okay.
But the embassy is out of Ankara.
Ankara, Turkey.
Yes,
okay.
and it covers Georgia.
Okay.
Now, a lot of historical firsts under my watch, and because of my office, we've established the first sister city relationships.
Between what's this? Tbilisi and?
No, between Rustavi, which is an industrial city. Yeah, Rustavi. And Kawayan City in Isabela. And Santiago.
Isabela.
So
Okay.
it was a tripartite sister city. And we've also had the first sister province relationship between Georgia and the Philippines, between Isabela and Quemocartli, under Governor Boji D and Vice Governor Tony Pet Albano. We've also had the first scouting agreements. Boy Scouts of the Philippines and Georgian Organization Scout Movement are now partners. And so many others.
Have there been reciprocal visits?
Yes. And I have to mention that these are the first relationships of Georgia, not just with the Philippines, but with the entire Asia. So it happened with us in the Philippines, and we trumped all these other countries in Asia. And reciprocal visits, yes, the Georgians have been here many times. So have the delegations from the Philippines also been to Georgia. We've had the scouting delegation from the Philippines go to Georgia, led by the president of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines, Wendell Avisado, and his whole delegation went to Georgia last year. And so to explore scouting exchanges. Plenty.
And the consul there is a Georgian.
He's Georgian.
He's Georgian.
Yes.
Okay, and so what are the other prospects in the future aside from tourism? Our exports, we'll still have to study a bit more about that.
I like to focus on areas where we can help Georgia and vice versa. For instance, in terms of disaster risk management, I'm actually holding a seminar later this year in cooperation with the Biodiversity Management Bureau. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Georgia and have some experts, Filipino disaster risk management experts, to give a seminar about how to address and prepare yourselves, how to address climate change and disasters related to that, and how to prepare your communities for these problems. And this is something that we Filipinos have a lot of experience because we are in one of the most
crisis
threatened and crisis. If you think of the crisis area of climate change, we're it, Philippines. And this is so. What I've been doing is focusing on areas where we can help them, and also where they can help us.
I was wondering if you're familiar with the energy profile of Georgia, because they have a lot of mountains with a lot of snow. I would assume they have good hydroelectric power there.
They do.
Is that correct?
So it's something that that is being employed in Georgia, hydroelectric, and again, it's something that we can also use here. Something we can learn from each other.
Any heavy industries, its profile doesn't seem to reflect a potential for that. No?
The economy basically is trading,
wine, of course,
agriculture,
of wine, I'm sure.
Wine. There is some industry, but not a lot. And in the old days, during the time of the Soviet Union, Georgia was a center for metallurgy. There was a big metallurgical plant there.
So that is a potential. If their technology has developed after the separation from the Soviet Union, from Russia.
Yes, the problem with that is, and I'm very close to the province of Quemocartli, where this plant is located. When the Soviet Union disintegrated, basically, they lost access to that big market. And so since then, that factory, which is located in Rustavi, has been operating, I think, at 10% of its capacity. And there are plans, and they're trying to find ways to enhance, its usage. But it's all part of a business model. If you have no market to service, then it doesn't make sense to ramp up production.
So hydroelectricity, I would assume, because again, it's a mountainous area. How's the renewable energy? Of course, hydro is renewable. Solar power, is it quite
starting? It's starting. Not too widespread yet, but it's starting. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned solar power, because I'm actually working with a Filipino. His name is Ilak Diaz, very famous, of the Litter of Light movement. And we actually going to bring solar-powered lights to communities in Georgia. He's been on the show, he's been in GNN several times, and this is a project we're working on with local governments in Georgia to introduce these Philippine-designed solar power lights for far-flung communities, for small villages, to get them more eco-friendly.
Yeah, I'm aware that the population density in Georgia is really very sparse. I think 50 plus or so per square kilometer, which is, but I'm not sure about my statistics. I just try to recall.
I mean, when you talk about 4 million people in about 70,000 square kilometers.
4 million to two-thirds of Mindanao. We're in Mindanao. How many do we have? 20 million? Okay, now we can imagine how sparse that density is. Yeah, go ahead. Anyway, so I would think they would have a lot of far-flung communities that cannot be linked by the grids, power grids.
There are some in the mountains, some small communities in the mountains especially, and it makes sense really to introduce solar power lighting. And also for monuments, instead of having all these wires in all these historical monuments, why not use solar power? And this is something that Ilak and I are working on. And hopefully our partners in Georgia this year can get the framework in place so that finally we can bring these, and these lights of Litter of Light have been successful all over the world. They're now in 30 or 40 countries. Started in the Philippines, 30 or 40 countries. Hopefully this year Georgia will be the 41st.
And now I'm just wondering, where is Ukraine in relative to Georgia? Does it share a border or it's very far?
No, it's across Georgia from the Black Sea.
So it's quite distant and there's no spillover from the problems there. That's good to hear. Okay. So what else do we have about Georgia, and how can the Philippines get closer to Georgia aside from your work? Because it really looks quite distant.
Yes. Well,
cultural exchanges, maybe we can have the Cossack, the dancers from cultural exchanges between our cultural center and then...
I'm glad you mentioned cultural exchange, because actually cultural exchange is one of the pillars of my programs to develop Georgian-Philippine relations. I have hosted the first, last night, we launched the 4th Georgian Nationwide Film Roadshow. It's the 4th I've held in the Philippines in partnership with the Film Development Council of Philippines and the Georgia National Film Center. So we're showing 3 feature films and a number of short films. And
when is this going to happen? It's still being arranged.
No, it's the 4th. We already launched. We had opening night last night at the FDCP Theater in Calao. And then the films are going to go and travel to all the theaters of FDCP and partners all over the country. So this is something I've been doing for 4 years. I've also been holding Georgian photo exhibits, art exhibits, and I actually brought the first Filipino painter to exhibit in the Caucasus, Pancho Piano, Bicol's famous painter's son, and he was the first Filipino to exhibit in Tbilisi and the greater Caucasus region.
So maybe we'll have to ask you in the future, before the exhibits and these exhibitions, that we be informed so we can also help inform the public about this.
Definitely. And there's actually something that the viewers can go to. If you go to Okada, we have a Georgian paintings exhibition there. And it's actually in the Coral Wing of Okada, which is the newest and swankiest resort casino in Entertainment City. And these paintings are by Pancho Piano. And he actually made these paintings in Georgia when he was there. So he made a lot of landscape paintings and paintings of Georgian scenery and society.
Did you sponsor his trip to Georgia?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We arranged everything. And so he went there, he exhibited in the National Museum, and he took the opportunity to make all these paintings. And these are now on display in Okada Casino.
You could have brought some of these paintings, and we could have taken a look at them. We talked about the travel to Georgia, and it's not easy. We don't see the prospect of direct flights there because the population is very, very small. It's going to be through the Middle East.
I think so.
And what about, you mentioned that the Filipinos in the Middle East do travel to Georgia.
Plenty.
Do you expect more of this? And
I think with people with more awareness through our efforts, and as I mentioned, we're trying to bring Viva Films there to shoot the Claudine Barreto movie in Georgia. And if that happens, you're going to see awareness of Georgia skyrocket among Filipinos, because that's the best way to promote a country. at least for Filipinos, mass market. Go over there, shoot a movie, bring in a big star, preferably love story, and you're gonna have tens of thousands of people watching it. And she's got a huge fan base.
Yeah.
Viva's got a lot of muscle to push the movie, and I think it's a movie they want to enroll in the Metro Manila Film Festival this year.
Okay, so I'm looking at these small things that can grow in the future. You mentioned your gelato is in Georgia or going to Georgia?
Going, yes.
Going to Georgia. I really think this, what do you call it? This Georgian food, cheese, whatever. What do you call it again?
Well, it's the
cheese
the
pie
kachapuri. Kachapuri.
Is it cheese pie? Cheese sandwich?
Cheese pie.
Cheese pie.
Yes.
Because in Manila, of course, you see all sorts, Koreans, Japanese, Turkish, Persian, and so on. A new addition, the novelty would, I think, be interesting to Filipinos. That's something you could bring over.
Yeah, and I honestly think that Georgian cuisine is one of the great cuisines in the world. It's an assault on the senses as well.
And do you cook?
I do cook,
You can cook
several
this for us,
several
okay.
Georgian dishes. Not all of them, but I do cook one or two, or no, actually three.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but the important thing is the things that can be converted into fast food. And so I think that's something that would be interesting.
And so looking at that, we're bringing Filipino fast food there. We're also talking to Potato Corner.
Yeah,
Very successful Potato Corner. They're all over the place. They're in Hong Kong, Australia,
That's right,
Middle
that's
East,
right, yeah.
US.
Yeah.
They're also interested to go to Georgia. So it's fascinating that we get these young entrepreneurs are the gung-ho ones. They're the ones with the gusto and the courage to let's go there. Let's strange mark, but who cares? Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. So, let's wrap up. Anything that you missed out that's important to tell our nation about Georgia?
Well, plenty of stuff happening this year and ongoing, and really,
We're now in May.
Yes.
So from May to December, what have you lined up?
Well, we've got we're working on as well on the participation of Philippine films in the Batumi Port City.
When is this going to be?
September.
The
the Batumi
in Georgia,
yes.
in Tbilisi.
No, in Batumi, in the Port
Batumi,
City.
okay.
The
Port
Batumi
City.
International Art House Film
Okay,
Festival.
okay.
We're working on a delegation of Boy Scouts to visit Georgia and be the first scouting delegation. We had the officials come, but we want to bring the first scouts really to go there and do a jamboree, that kind of thing. We're doing the disaster risk management seminar there in Tbilisi. Of course, our efforts here to promote Georgian culture ongoing, like this TV show, like our art exhibit in Okada, like the film festival last night.
How long will the Okada exhibit last?
Until June 23.
Okay, so that's a whole month ahead.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Coral Wing of the Okada Casino.
Okay.
Have you been there, Kamentong?
No, I don't.
Fantastic place.
I avoid the casinos.
No, but it is a beautiful, I have to say, I'm not a big fan of casinos as well.
I know.
But they did a good job with Okada. And they've got a fantastic light and sound water fountain. Yes.
Okay. Well, we have our last 60 seconds, Consul Buddy. And I don't know how much you can fit in there, but go ahead, please.
Sure. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our talk with Kamentong. I want to thank Kamentong for giving me this opportunity to talk about Georgia, a country that I love and has been very close to my heart for many years. If you have a chance, please do visit Georgia. It's a beautiful country. And of course, my consulate, my number is always open. For Filipinos, we do need visas. If you have a Schengen or US visa, you don't need a visa. But even for those who do need visas, it's very easy. It's all online. And rest assured, my door is always open to help you guys. And please do come. You won't forget it.
Maraming salamat. How do you say thank you in
Didi
Georgia?
Madlova.
Didi
Madlova.
That's not easy to remember, but we'll learn that. Thank you very much and have a good weekend.